Without question, the Marsalis family is amongst the first families of American music. Both Branford and Wynton followed in their father's footsteps and have done nothing but promote Americana, American music and culture in such an incredibly wonderful way. This clip, this interview with Wynton, comes from the CBS news show West 57th Street, and it was shown on April 6, 1987.
The fast track to fame in the music business usually includes an act that ranges from flashy to outrageous, using high-tech props and playing to the masses in stadium concerts. But steps to stardom for Wynton Marsalis include none of the above. At 25, he's already won 7 Grammy Awards and is acclaimed as one of the best trumpet players of all time. But you may have never even heard him play. That's because his soul is steeped in jazz. And while Wynton Marsalis is a master of classical music, his dedication, discipline, and almost religious fervor is aimed at breathing new life into this purely American music. When you listen to Wynton Marsalis play, the sound isn't revolutionary, but evolutionary. He can purr like Louis Armstrong. Or like Dizzy Gillespie, he can explode. When it comes to jazz, Marsalis wants to do more than just blow his own horn. He's trying to revive a struggling art form.
Black Americans don't support jazz. When jazz ceased to become dance music, the black community didn't support it. To become a jazz musician in this age means that you have to make an individual decision to pursue that vision of music. You know, since I started playing jazz, I've always been in a type of solitude. Like when I was in high school, if I wasn't working, playing in a band, I would be practicing and trying to deal with the music. I couldn't go to my friends and say, "Yeah, man, check this Train record out." Check, and they didn't want to hear that. Girls didn't want to hear about jazz. If you wanted to lose women, talk about jazz. You talk about some jazz, you lose every woman you ever knew.
Whatever the sacrifice, Wynton has never been willing to compromise and play pop music. You like pop music?
It's impossible to dislike pop music. You know, that's like asking me, do I like a candy bar? What I'm telling you is that a lot of the music that I know seems to be a dialogue with adolescent passions, and I'm not an adolescent.
You said that it's ignorance being celebrated at its highest level.
Did I say that?
You said it.
All I'm saying is that it has not lived up to its own tradition. It produced giants at one time. Now it produces media figures.
By studying the giants of jazz, Wynton is not only protecting their legacy, but he's creating his own.
I say we take something like Stardust, right? Now Stardust will go... written, all right? Mm-hmm. Now Louis Armstrong will take something like that. Go ahead, do it. Yeah.
Blowing hundreds more notes than that. Wynton not only studies the greats, he also criticizes them. He openly condemns artists who, despite their talent, choose to play pop rather than jazz. In return, they call him arrogant and self-righteous.
There's a backlash against me, but I'm dealing with music. That's what I want you to understand. All I want to speak on behalf of is the music and let the younger musicians know that there are other forms of music that are documented on record for them to study. And the fact that their idols have decided that they would rather be pop stars, that doesn't mean that they have to make that decision. You gotta learn the music, man. There ain't no way around it. Don't believe that noble savage shit. I mean, man, it's not a mystery that the greatest musicians who express the deepest amount of profundity and emotion also knew the most about music. Because if you love something that much, why wouldn't you know something about it? Jazz is the soul of Black America. I want to play jazz because it's the most challenging music to play. As a musician, jazz combines the composer and the performer. That's our art form.
Jazz, uniquely Afro-American, as you say. What does that mean to Black American history?
Afro-Americans have contributed to America in all the other arenas. But the thing about that is those contributions could be erased. You don't have to know who W.B. Du Bois was. You don't have to know who Martin Luther King was. You don't have to know who Charles Drew was. You know, the guy came up with blood transfusion and died because he couldn't get one, because he wasn't white. And it's his invention. You don't have to deal with jazz because you won't get taught that in music schools. I'm a young man. You know, I see these things. It's my responsibility as a responsible American to respond to these things.
Wynton's responsibility to the music came from the man who taught him to play, his father.
Jazz expresses a lifestyle. It expresses an attitude. Somebody asked him in an interview once, you've already won 4 Grammys, what's next? He says, well, I'm trying to learn how to play the music, which totally befuddled her. I mean, because after all, aren't you supposed to be trying to win Grammys?
Ellis Marsalis didn't push any of his kids into jazz, yet 4 out of 6 now play. They all showed up at a tribute to the late Thelonious Monk. Wynton was one of the biggest stars there, but not the only one. The family Marsalis includes Delfeo, who's a record producer and plays trombone, 10-year-old Jason, a drummer, who many call a child prodigy, and Branford, the oldest, who started playing saxophone in the 2nd grade. Wynton is the best known of the group, but maybe not the most talented.
I think that Branford has more natural ability than Wynton does. I have no explanation for why Branford was able to do anything, because Branford almost never practiced.
Your dad and Wynton both say that you're far more talented than Wynton. If that's the case, then why is Wynton more successful in the jazz area?
Not just the jazz area, man. He wanted it more. When he was 17, he had the schedule that was unbelievable, and it almost drove him crazy in the end, you know, but he kept it.
Branford played saxophone in Wynton's band for 4 years, until he left to join Sting's 1985 tour. That caused a very painful and very public split between brothers.
If you're a musician, you want people to like you and know you. To deal with seriousness means that you have to deal with being disliked and not known. Like, I can't tell my brother, well, man, you should want to be not liked.
Did you expect Wynton to say, hey, look, you're selling out by crossing the line, going to Fusion?
Oh, yeah, definitely. People think this argument just came up or something. We've had this discussion a million times. Wynton was, by the time he was 11 or 12 is when he had his identity, like, forged and solid. He knew where he was going and what he wanted even then.
Wynton's motivation and discipline came from lessons his mother taught him at home.
My mother, she went to college and did all of this, and she went for a job in a department store or something, and the people gave her a mop. She said, well, damn, I have my degree and all of this, you know, they ain't gonna give me a mop anyway. And she would always tell us that she wanted us, no matter what, to just deal with ourselves with a certain degree of seriousness and nobility.
Like bing, bong,
Yeah,
bong.
like a bell-like quality, more majesty. Play it noble, man. Play with some nobility.
The thing that keeps coming around, though, is that Wynton Marsalis, you know, he's too harsh. He's alienating people.
I can sit in front of you and I know what to say to make everybody like me. That's easy to do. You know, you say, well, everything is good if you like it, and I'm not against anything, and I mean, if you're not against anything, you're not for anything.
What's your obligation to the music?
Pay homage and respect to it and develop as much as I can to add to whatever body of material is there, if I can add to it. The legacy is much more important than the individuals, because that's what endures. it's not going to be affected by me one way or the other. You know, I mean, jazz was great long before 1961. And it will be great after I'm gone. I mean, that's the truth.